Okay, so we are day 3 into Emma's new school year. I just wanted to talk about how her first day of school went and what has changed so much from last year. Last year was insane. I'm going to tell you a lot of what happened to my daughter last year. And I think if you think about it, like it's your daughter or your son, you'll be able to see the absolute insanity of this. And it's just the outrage. I mean, it's insane what my daughter went through, just that's even legal to happen. How is this legal? How is this happening? And how are her bullies, which we will get into later on, how are they still able to teach your children? Maybe they're still teaching children, and I don't even know what to say. They abused, they neglected, they just tortured my daughter for the whole year. Okay, so my daughter's name is Emma, and when she was around the age of older 3, early 4, she started showing signs of just, being unique. We thought, it's, not a big deal. It's just a little phase she's going through. Great, whatever. Hello Kitty. Loved Hello Kitty. Well, let me first start by telling you that my daughter was born with male parts. And I named him Colton because I did not know that she was a girl. Anyway, she started liking Hello Kitty and just things like that, all things feminine, and I'm not a really girly girl. This is like the most makeup and hair that I do. But we let her explore. We let her take the lead and tell us who she is instead of us telling her who she is. And, she showed us, I mean, I do have a lot of mom guilt. There are some times where I felt like, okay, you need to be wearing, I don't know, dinosaur shirts, things like that. And that's, for a while, that's what we did. Out in public, she would wear dinosaur shirts or, football shirts, whatever. And there came a day where she just started protesting that. I'm not wearing this. Let me wear my Hello Kitty. Let me wear, just the stuff that I like to wear. That was kind of her cry. You could see this struggle inside of her, an internal struggle. Just, as soon as she had a choice, these are the choices she made. And as a mother, it's important that our children are happy, and she wasn't happy in the things that I was putting her in and the toys that I was buying her, trying to get her to, be a boy. And I don't know, I feel like that there was times, looking back now, that I shouldn't have pushed her. I should have just said, hey, wear that if that's what you want to wear. But I have to say that I did eventually I let her do that and be who she wanted. Anyway, I'm going to get to the school. My daughter goes to a school. We live in North Carolina, probably the worst state you can live in and be transgender. There are no rights at all for children in these schools here. If you have a transgender child and you are trying to find a place to live, do not come to North Carolina. There are some places in the city that are very accepting, very loving, very open. But if you so happen to get into one of these schools outside of the city that are ultra conservative, it is just going to be misery until we get a policy in place protecting our transgender children. It's going to be miserable for them. Don't do it. Anyway, so yes, Emma was born, and I gave her the name Colton. As you can see, beautiful baby. I was so proud. I had, I have two boys, and at the time I thought Emma was a boy, so I was so proud to have 3 boys. I just called them my boys, just my boys, and little did I know that she was just going to turn our world upside down, and we have just learned so much. And she's only 6. She turned 6 in February, and we've learned so much from her. It's insane how much humanity, just kindness, compassion, we've learned so much. Anyway, so proud. Look how beautiful. She was just such a pretty baby. And there she is, all dressed up in her little suit. This is when we were all characters from Toy Story. I want to say Emma was 3 and she was Buzz Lightyear, and she did not want to be Buzz Lightyear, and that's one of my mom guilts. She wanted to be Jessie. I dressed up as Jessie because I thought, oh, I'll be Jessie, you be Buzz. And the whole Halloween, she was upset and crying because she wanted to be Jessie, and she just couldn't communicate that properly. Well, she communicated it just fine. I wasn't listening with the ears that I should have been listening with. Our children know who they are. We just have to learn to listen. And I still have a lot of guilt from when I didn't know how. At the monster truck show, and just adorable. Look at this one. Oh, so pretty. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Little spaghetti face, Emma. Okay, so right around here is where she started showing signs, like 3, 4. Emma's cousin visited for a week, and she ended up leaving a doll. She ended up leaving a little doll here. It was just a little doll. Emma just went crazy over this doll and just loved this doll so much. Did not want to let it go. So, and every time she wanted something, it was a doll. Like, oh my gosh, I wanted that. So we thought, well, we'll just get her one. And I'll have to find that picture, but Kevin ended up buying her one. This is Emma's first doll that her daddy bought her. Her first official doll that belongs to just her. Now keep in mind, up to this point in time, Emma was still going by the name Colton and dressing you know, as a boy when we go out and coming home and putting on her Hello Kitty and just, you know, the things that she felt good in. Her dad had a little bit of an issue, you know, as I did, you know, just I think a little bit more of an issue just because I don't know why, but I mean, I guess because, you know, he's a man and men and their sons, you know, they have this feeling of them, like, I guess, going out and playing baseball, whatever, I don't know. But, so we call that her doll of acceptance. And, you know, where I think I felt like he finally embraced her, you know, as having feminine qualities at that time. Still Colton. So, you know, there's my baby dressed in overalls with her Jessie doll that she adored, that we still have. And I mean, I forgot about that. Jessie was before Hello Kitty. Jessie was just really, she just loved Jessie. And then Hello Kitty came along. But you see, still dressing as Colton, but of course, loving the things that she loved anyway. We had balloons, and Miller was a ninja. Emma had fairy wings made. I have a better picture of this, but I just thought it was precious because her little feet were just off the ground. She was so happy. So it was around the age of, yeah, so here she is still, you know, wearing blue snowsuit, getting ready to go out in the snow, and she was fussing and just upset. And then she put her Hello Kitty earmuffs on. That saved our day. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that boys can't like Hello Kitty or boys can't like pink or, you know, anything like that. I mean, you can like anything you want. It's just not who Emma was. She wasn't a boy liking girly things. She was trying to tell me that she's a girl inside. You know your children. And I would have to say that before this, you know, honestly, I really thought that it was a choice. I thought being transgender was a choice. I respected that choice. But I did think it was a choice. You know, you just choose to be a different gender. Not true. I am here to tell you 100% not true. These people know who they are. I mean, they absolutely know. And everything inside of them is just screaming out, I am not that. I am this. And we have to respect them, and we have to believe them. And we have to try to understand them. And just because they're different than you does not mean that they are lesser than you. It just means that they're different. And you should embrace that, and we should love that and adore that about people. Everybody's different. I mean, what is normal anyway? There's no such thing as normal. Like the faster that we can realize that, just as a nation, like the better off we will be. Let's embrace diversity. Let's look at everybody and just say, how unique are you? Yeah, so let's embrace everybody. Let's embrace diversity and people that are different than us. I mean, just because I think a lot of it comes from being scared, because people don't understand transgender people. They think that they're weird or abnormal or whatever, but I urge you, get to know one. Go seek them out and become friends with them and become their ally. And you'll find out that they're amazing people. They are people. I'm not saying they're all right. Is anybody in any other group, everybody's unique. There are good, there are bad in every group. And, but for the most part, transgender people are amazing, and I just love them. And, now that I know one personally, my dog's butt, now that I know one personally and love one, I just see what a beautiful person she is. I mean, just inside and out, she is just so beautiful and so sweet, and she can be such a little stinker sometimes. But can't all kids, Anyway, so so here she is when she first started wearing these more feminine things out in public. That's after her doll. That's smile is just, that smile, come on. So, there she is, feeling sassy. And yeah, there she is with her muscle car shirt on, not feeling real happy. It's not wanting to focus in, but anyway. So yeah, so Elsa doll. That's her favorite picture. She loves that mermaid dress. Wishes she had another one. I need to find her one that will fit her. But yeah, I could go on and on with pictures. I've got pictures for days. So, kindergarten. She was so excited for school. I mean, this girl was just so happy to go to school and to do all the things that she heard her brother talk about. She has a brother that's a year older than her. Anyway, so yeah, she was super excited, and we went school shopping, and she picked out, of course, a Hello Kitty lunchbox. And then, so Emma went into class, and everything seemed fine. We told the teacher that she liked that she preferred, at the time was Colton, and that he preferred more feminine things, and that he would feel more comfortable using the girls' bathroom because at the time he was dressing as a girl. We were right in the middle of transition, so it was a very difficult time for us, and we were still learning. And instead of them trying to reach out and learn with us and figure out what would make everybody more comfortable, they didn't. She came home absolutely bawling and just so upset. I mean, this girl was unconsolable. She was just really, really upset. And I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Let me in the bathroom. I have to go to the boys' bathroom. I'm going in the boys' bathroom. So they were making her go into the boys' bathroom wearing that outfit. And I said, what they're not, did you ask to go to the girls' bathroom? And she said, yes. She said, and then I couldn't hold it anymore. So she tried to hold it till she got home. And she, ended up having to go in the boys' bathroom. You can imagine the questions that arose from the students. Or then, that was the big deal. Like, the kids questioning her, are you a boy or are you a girl? We don't know what you are, and da 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 da, and who are you gonna play with, and all that stuff. And so we set up an appointment with the principal, and we went in, and we thought, well, we're gonna discuss this with the principal like adults, and we're gonna come to a mutual agreement, everything's going to be fine. No, 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 no. That's not how it went. So we sat down and said, you know, as you know, Colton, you know, likes to wear girl clothes. He's exploring his gender. You know, we're not sure, you know. We've taken him at this point to a couple of therapists, and they said that, you know, that he had gender dysmorphia. So we explained to her what that meant and everything, and then her first words out of her mouth was, "Aren't you the ones buying his clothes?" And I just couldn't believe that she said that to me. Could not believe it. I said, of course we're the ones buying his clothes. I said, and my son likes dinosaurs and robots, and you're going to see him wearing a lot of dinosaurs and robots. Colton at the time likes Hello Kitty and My Little Pony and Jessie, and you're going to see him wearing a lot of that. I said, so, you know, why don't we go ahead and officially do the pronouns now? Let's go ahead and set the pronouns now to she and her. So it was at that first meeting that we clarified that we officially want to change the pronouns to her. I think that you know, that was some of our fault. We should have thought into this more. You know, at the beginning of the school year, we should have just said, hey, listen, let's go ahead and start with the pronouns she, her. But at the same time, we were still getting used to it, because every now and then I would slip up and say he, and, you know, so on, so on. And so that was still, you know, at home. And anyway, you know, so time went on, a couple of days, coming home crying, bawling, just every day. We set an appointment with the teachers, you know, and they expressed that, you know, that I guess they thought that, you know, she was a boy and things like that. And we had an advocate come in, and long story short, they just, you know, they were just not treating her like a girl at all. They were arguing with her every day, just every day arguing with her. Their school, you know, the classroom runs on a clip system. If they're good, they get to take their clip and move it up. If they're bad, they take their clip and move it down. So every day they would argue with her and say, this was after we officially changed her pronouns to her, she. And they were supposed to be on board with this. At least the principal had said, you know, okay, we can do that. You know, but HB2 stops us from having to, you know, allow her into the bathroom. And so, you know, I didn't know anything about HB2 at the time. I had no clue about HB2. So I just said, okay, well, you know, she must know the law. And even though in my heart that felt very discriminating. So anyway, at this point she was still being forced to use the boys' bathroom, wearing skirts, dresses, skirts, you know, that kind of thing. Where was I? So anyways, the clip system. Yeah. So they would argue with Emma that she was a boy, and if she did not agree to say she was a boy and not argue with them, they could move her clip up. But if she said she was a girl, they would move her clip down. And she came home the first day that they did that, just, you know, of course, just bawling. She ran to her room, locked the door. She didn't want to talk to me, so I talked to her outside of the door. What is wrong? What's wrong? they argue with me. I don't want to say their names, but the teachers argue with me. They keep saying that I'm a boy and I'm not a boy, and they tell me they're going to move my clip down if I say it again. And I said, what did you do? And she said, I just don't say anything. And so she just refused to talk to them. And we set up an appointment with the teachers and an advocate. The advocate saw that they are, highly argumentative. They were blaming they're blaming us for wanting a girl, or just changing her, making her do something she wants, as if you could do that with children, right? But just coming home crying all the time. She went to and then at, I think it was the third meeting within like the first month. No, I'm sorry, we were in the second month at that time. We had the meeting, and they all of a sudden made the boys and girls bathrooms that were in the hall belong to the third grade. So those are the third grade bathrooms now. The kids had to use the ones in the classroom. So Emma, well, unless you were a boy or girl, right? So Emma could only use single stall bathrooms because, as the principal stated, HB2. So she had to use the bathroom in the classroom, and anywhere else that there was a boys or girls bathroom, she had to either hold it, wait till she gets back, or use the boys' bathroom. So those were the rules that pertain to her because of HB2. She went to gym one day, and we got a call that there was an accident. She had an accident. Very highly suspicious, because Emma hasn't had an accident in a long time. She potty trained early. She's just one of those kids that, does not do that anymore. Like, at this point, she hadn't had an accident in a year and a half. It had been a while. So that day she was wearing a skirt because it was, gym day. She had a skirt with little biker shorts underneath it, which she always wears anyway when she wears a skirt, because she's very modest and she doesn't want people to see what she doesn't want herself, which that's how most transgender people are. It doesn't fly because they don't want to flaunt what they themselves don't want. So the last thing she would ever do is want somebody to, hey, look at this, look at my penis, No, not at all. So anyway, she comes home, and she's, again, very upset, goes to her room, shuts the door. I have to talk to her through the door. So what's wrong? What's wrong, Emma? I'm sorry, no. Oh, no, at this point, she had already changed her name to Emma. We were in about, 2-3 weeks in, and we said, okay, hey, let's, you're a girl, and she said, well, she's the one that came to us and said, is Colton a girl name or a boy name? And we said, well, it could be either one. You could be Colton and be a girl if that's what you want to do. And she said, well, I want to change it because I'm a she now, I'm her, and to me, Colton sounds like a boy name because I don't know any girl Coltons. So we said, okay, well, be thinking of what you want to be, what do you want us to call you? Previously, about 3 months earlier, my cousin from Florida had visited, and she has a daughter named Emma, and my Emma just thought, oh my gosh, she is the sweetest little girl. Like, I don't know, she just kept talking about her hair and stuff like that. And so she said, I want to be Emma. I want to be Emma. And it was just Emma. So we went to the school and we said, okay, refer to her as Emma. So pronouns are she, her, as we previously had said, and she has stated that she wants to go by Emma. So the principal agreed, the teachers agreed to our faces, but did not agree to Emma. Anyway, so back to the gym story. So she, comes home and we're discussing what happened, and she said that the gym teacher told her that she either had to use the boys' bathroom or she had to hold it until gym was over, until she could get back to her classroom, which is the other side of the school, complete opposite end of the school. So Emma's classroom is here on the very end of the school. Hallway, like, I don't know, like 6 hallways, a lot of hallways. And then here's the cafeteria and here's the gym. So all the way to the end of it, they wanted her to walk and hold her urine until she got to that bathroom. Crazy. What child can do that? I couldn't do that. So, instead of choosing to go to the boys' bathroom wearing a skirt because she had already been abused enough by the children and humiliated. I mean, not really abused by the children, but just humiliated because they were asking her all the time, constantly, are you a boy or are you a girl? Are you a boy or are you a girl? She peed on herself. She chose to just physically urinate on herself. So yeah, instead of being humiliated again and asked over and over, are you a boy or are you a girl, she chose to urinate on herself. And I mean, she urinated on herself because when she brought those clothes home in a Ziploc bag, they were drenched. They were like just soaking wet. Where you have to be, she was 5 years old at the time, where you have to be in your little 5-year-old head to make that choice. An adult is forcing you to make that choice to either be humiliated or urinate on yourself when you know that you just need to go to the girls' bathroom. And she had to make that choice. She chose to urinate on herself and face that type of humiliation instead of the humiliation that she's been facing every day up to this point. I would have done the same thing, but, and at that age, we can't expect them to fight these teachers. We can't expect them to, I guess they call it back talking. We can't expect them to defend themselves. She was 5 years old. 5 years old. And she was forced to make this kind of decision. That should not ever even be an option that a child has to make. That should never be. A teacher should never, ever do that to a child. That is so wrong on so many levels. So, of course, we called the school. The gym teacher told the principal that he did not know. She told us, she then called us back later and said, well, he was unaware. We must have forgotten to tell him the situation. So, as bad as it was and as much as we hated it, we are still compassionate people, and we thought, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's really think, okay, they're going through this too. We had some learning curves. This is one of their learning curves, just a really bad one. We forgave them. We moved on. The teachers were just horrible to her. So at this point we were in, she's still in the same teacher's classes who are just giving her hell, just making her life absolutely miserable. Halloween, Halloween goes by. She's, of course, the cutest little cupcake princess. And Miller, my son, is a 3-headed shark. So, and then after Halloween came All About Me Day. Emma was so excited. Oh my God, she was so happy for her All About Me Day, because at this point, every kid in the class has, you know, just about all of them have had their All About Me Day. She was so excited. She picked her shirt out. She made sure she got her cute little outfit together. She picked a shirt, which was pink. It was light pink, and it was a heart, a glittery heart with like a little peace sign in the middle of the heart. It was so cute. And she had some little pastel striped shorts, had little zigzag pastels, and she wore her little glittery Skechers. They lit up and had, you know, white glitter and like pinkish hued glitter on them, really cute. Painted her nails pink, like a light pink. And so she went to school that day, and we were all excited. I couldn't wait. I was like, oh, finally a day where she's actually happy to go to school. I mean, she was just crying. It was so hard to get her to go to school, you know, like literally kicking and screaming. So anyway, she goes to school and she comes home. Hey, Miller. Hi. So Emma was so excited for All About Me Day. Anyway, and you know, I told you about the outfit. She was just raring to go, so excited. So All About Me Day is the day that, well, that day is dedicated to that one child. The teacher draws on a big, you know, big piece of paper, draws the child. They don't, which is, I thought was very strange, like, why don't they just let the children draw the child? Instead of doing that, the teacher draws the child, and then the kids draw what the teacher drew. Is that not, that, to me, that's just extremely controlling. And that's not, by the way, how they did it in my son's classroom. They did it, they let the kids draw. So that is just more proof that they kept singling her out. Anyway, so this is what the teacher drew. And which, as you can see, up here it said Colton. At this point, we had told her to call her and Emma. My baby comes home, walks in the door, and she takes her little glue stick, and you can see right here where it's all torn. She glued it on the wall and stuck it up to the wall, and she was just, I couldn't tell if she was mad or sad. She was really just really upset. I mean, you know, of course she was crying, but at the same time she was determined. You know, she had like determination on her side. She glued this stick, you know, glued it up, stuck it on the wall, went and got her little pink highlighter pen, and she, at the time, she couldn't really write her name that great, so she had me mark out Colton and write Emma. And that's what I did. And of course, seeing that alone, I was furious. She took the pink highlighter and she wrote pink, you know, rosy cheeks, pink backpack, pink fingernails, and yeah, and she drew a couple of pink little, you know, characters around. So yeah, that's red, not pink. There's no heart on it, no peace sign. These are not pastel, and her shoes were not black. Her shoes were white glittery, her shorts were pastel, her shirt was pink, and it had a glittery heart with a peace sign in it. And she had pink nail polish on. I mean, they drew boy hair, they drew a boy everything. Think about this picture without the pink stuff that she drew on it. That is clearly a male figure. Her hair was long. Her hair was long. not short. I mean, this shows you how long her hair was. And they drew this. I mean, she was devastated, but, you know, at the same time, she was determined. She was saying, that is not who I am. This is who I am. And she put the pink cheeks on and the pink nails and everything. She took a stand, and I was really proud of her. Super proud of her for doing that. Heartbroken, but very proud. She was standing her ground, and she was saying, you got it wrong. That's not me. Just like she's been doing with me all along. You know, up to this point, you know, before, when I didn't know she was transgender, she was taking a stand, and she was telling me in every way, in every action that she did, this is me. And finally, when I got it, when I learned, because she has never been confused, not one time. She has never been confused as to who she is. I've been confused. My husband's been confused. She's never been confused. She has always known who she is. And she just has to keep showing people. And it's just so sad to see somebody fight so hard to just be themselves. And that's what transgender people go through on a daily basis. You know, it's just ridicule and people judging them and not just, you know, just not accepting them for who they are. And that's what we need to do. And so, you know, here's a couple of pictures she drew. And, you know, this was her actually this was the second time, because that's her second teacher that we got her. And this is her crying. Boys' room, girls' room. This is another picture. Emma is one of these kids that draws her feelings. So this is Emma. This is her teacher, screaming and pointing at her and telling her she's a boy. And this is Emma crying. And then this is a picture of Emma always crying at her desk. This was when she was in the first, you know, the teacher she had for the first few months. Okay, so we went to the principal. The All About Me Day was this last straw. We said, okay, this is the last straw. We want her in another class. You have to put her in another class. She's being tortured on a daily basis. And the principal agreed to put her in another class. So yeah, so we got the class change, and everything went okay. They agreed to call her by the proper pronouns, you know, and the proper name. It was a fresh start. We were really hopeful, you know. Okay, so we didn't win the bathroom thing. She's still having to go in the bathroom. Single stall, they said. You know, the rules for her was that she goes into a single stall bathroom. Of course, we, you know, would say, what if she has to go when she's not in the classroom? We'll let her go in the girls' bathroom. They would tell us one thing and they would do another every time. I think they're just trying to get us off their backs and, you know, quit setting up meetings and wasting their time and all that. But anyways, so yeah, so we got a call, and this was in the second classroom. And I knew that these teachers were not okay with her being transgender either. They were just tolerating it, and they were just trying to stay out of trouble and trying to not cause friction. And so I got a call from one of the teachers, and she said, Emma had an accident today. You know, again, shocked, knew something else was, you know, there's something else to that. I just say, okay, you know, all right, you know, whatever, move on. When she gets home, I'll talk to her. And she came home, and, you know, of course she, I was putting her lunch up. I didn't want to really bother her about it because she was in a mood where she wasn't really wanting to talk, and I try not to force my kids to talk if they don't want to, and they usually come around when they're ready. And I was unloading her lunch. So anyway, she you know, I was unpacking her lunch box, and just a second, let me zoom in a little bit. So I there's Miller. Hi. So I was unpacking Emma's lunchbox, and I noticed she did not eat anything. I mean, not even a bite, not one bite of her food. And I was like, okay, Miller, all right, babe.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop now.
You're good. Peace. So.
Peace out.
So anyway, she didn't eat anything, and I said, Emma, what's going on? So why did you not eat any of your food? Like, you didn't touch your food, baby. And so I thought, well, that'd be a good way to, you know.
Fine. I just don't understand.
What are you doing? Dabs? What's a dab? I'm
You
getting
don't
told.
even know what a dab is?
I don't know what a dab
Did they
is.
not teach you that in school?
No, honey. I didn't learn dabs in school.
Seriously, you should check what they are on YouTube.
Okay. But so anyway, I was checking, you know, her lunch. I said, why didn't you eat your lunch? And she said, because I was just really scared. I said, what were you scared of? And she said, well, you know, I was just scared because I had peed on myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? You know, I know that you supposedly had an accident. And then, so I thought, she's going to open up about it now. Let's listen to what she has to say. So she tells me that Miss Rowland, so the teacher, told her that she had to hold it. She told the teacher that she had to go pee, and the teacher told her she had to hold it. And that's all I could get out of her that day. I couldn't get a whole lot out of her. I didn't want to squeeze. She just didn't feel like talking. So I thought, well, you know, she'll open up in a few days. You know, it can't be anything too bad. You know, I mean, last time, the thing that happened, I was kind of on edge about it being something like that again, of course. But I wanted her to come to me in her own time. So about a week later, a little over a week later, me and my 17-year-old go to school to have lunch with Emma. And she says, I've got to go pee, Mommy. And I said, okay, we'll go pee. What's the issue? Go pee. And she said, I can't. The door's locked. So the only bathroom that she can use in the cafeteria is locked. I was like, you're kidding me. I went over there, and sure enough, it was locked. The only bathroom that they were allowing her to use was locked. And I went over to Miss Rowland and I said, my daughter has to use the bathroom. You know, this one is locked. What do you expect me to do? I'm under strict orders that she can only use single stall bathroom. And that's what she said. I am under strict orders that she can only use a single stall bathroom. I said, so what do you propose I do? I said, I'm taking my daughter to the bathroom. And so I took her, we went into the girls' bathroom, and she used the bathroom. She came out without incident. There was no issues, she didn't run around flashing her private parts at everybody. It was a little girl using the bathroom. That's all that was. Came out. And of course, by this time, I'm really upset. I go over to her, and of course, I was being nice. I mean, I wasn't being, you know, I don't get like crazy or anything like that. I just went over and I said, okay, so please tell me more. Elaborate on what happened. She said, I can't take her to the girls' bathroom. I can only let her use the single stall bathroom. And the principal, she said the principal's name, told me that I am to never let her use anything but a single stall bathroom. And I said, well, that's funny because she told me that she would be able to use the girls' bathroom should she have to do it in an emergency. And so, you know, you see where this is going. This is the picture that she drew a few days later of the teacher. There she is, crying, and here's all the students pointing at her and laughing, pointing at her and laughing because she had to pee on herself. Now, after she finally opened up about this, she said, as soon as I sat down to lunch, I had to either hold it or pee on myself. She said, you know, I mean, at 5 years old, she said, I chose to pee on myself. She said, you know, in her own way. She said, I peed on myself. She said, and it was really warm for a while. She said, but then I sat there and it just got really cold. She said, and I sat there and I was really cold. And then, you know, one of the kids found out. They started laughing at me. And I asked her what, you know, what happened after that. And, you know, I said, how did the teacher find out? And she said, she found out when I went and got in line to go to class. And I said, well, what did she tell you? And she said that I would have to go walk to the bathroom that I can use to change my clothes. So not only was it humiliating enough to have to sit there and be laughed at by your peers for 30 minutes at lunch, she was then made to walk from the cafeteria, which is at one end, right beside the gym, to all the way to the other end of the school. They forced her to walk to the other end of the school in urine-soaked clothes, and not just a little bit, I mean completely saturated. That day when I took her shoes off, her feet were wrinkled where the urine went from her leg ends down into her shoes. Her toes were wrinkled. That's how much she eliminated. And you know, she didn't have shoes at school, she just had a change of clothes because most kids don't have to urinate that much. This was a full elimination. Anyway, you know, I feel like I've told this story I don't know how many times. And it never gets easier, but I'm going to keep telling it over and over and over until we realize that our transgender youth is being victimized every day. Case by case does not work. It does not work. It does not work. Case by case leads to victimization in schools, in areas that are less progressive. You know, in conservative areas where teachers get to make the rules, you know, of course they use their own guidelines, their own, you know, their religion as a guideline. They use their thoughts and their opinion as a guideline on how to treat our transgender children. And it's not right. It's not right. We need protection. We need protection for these kids. I mean, no child should ever have to go through that. She is still, it's another year later, well, she's 6 now. You know, this was last year that this happened to her at 5, and she's still having issues with it. She's still having issues of what these teachers did to her. That was the last straw. So after that happened, I contacted paper. A wonderful reporter from the paper came and did a piece on Emma. And it just went from there. USA Today picked it up. And then, you know, you know, we let the summer go by with just her just being able to be Emma. It was so great. It was just such a wonderful summer because she could be who she is without having to worry about bathrooms and all that stuff that kids shouldn't even be worried about. So the beginning of this, you know, school year, right before school started, I decided to do a protest. We did a protest. I went in front of the school board, asked, begged, pleaded, please get a policy in place protecting these transgender children so that way they're, you know, not victimized. This cannot happen again. It just can't happen again. And it fell on deaf ears. You know, they said they would instill some training for teachers. I haven't seen it. You know, where is the training at? Like, you know, show me something. They have an anti-bullying policy in our schools here, and it's huge. I mean, they talk about it all the time, you know, how to spot a bully. My daughter will tell you straight out that her teachers were bullies. They fell in that category. And she actually said to me one day, well, I know how to tell on a bully, but how do I tell my teachers that they are a bully? You know, she said, who do I tell? So, so after Halloween, there was a play, a Thanksgiving Day play. And I was told that Emma, it was a big deal to her because she did not want to be an Indian. Because the Indian boy and Indian girl wore the same thing. She said that her teachers told her that, you know, that she had to be an Indian. And she said, I don't want to be an Indian boy. And I said, did they say you had to be an Indian boy? And she was just crying, and I couldn't get a straight answer out of her. So I called, you know, the teacher, and I said, what's going on? She said, there is no choice. All of the classes, you know, she said, the whole class doesn't get a choice. And I said, is that how it goes in the school? And she said, yes, the whole school, they don't get a choice. She said the teachers choose for them who they're going to be. Forgetting that I had a child in another classroom. So I get a thing in my son's folder that says, Miller decided that he would like to be a pilgrim boy. Yeah, so they forgot I had a son in another grade who they gave a choice to. And I asked him and confirmed, and he said, yeah, they gave me a choice. I got to choose. I could either be an Indian boy or a pilgrim boy. I said, so you chose pilgrim boy? He said, yeah, I chose pilgrim boy. Well, that was a whole nother issue, you know. I said, and I called him up, and I was just like, you know, so it's just like the bathroom thing. As soon as we reach the finish line, you move it. You move it on us. You just can't win. I mean, you just can't get equality for your children when you're in a school where the belief system is one way. You know, it's not how we should be raising our children in these schools where they just let their beliefs override their common decency and, you know, violate human rights for these children. I mean, you know, so in moving on, we started researching statistics. There is a 40% suicide rate in transgender people, 40%, compared to 2% of the, you know, rest of the population. So just to clarify, 2% of the population who are not trans commit suicide. In the transgender group, 40%. 40% commit suicide. And it's not because of a mental illness. I've heard that before. It's because they all have mental illnesses. No, the only mental illness is coming from the people that discriminate, against them. The only illness is coming from people that make them feel less than. The only illness is coming from people that belittle them and don't accept them for who they are. I mean, we have my husband's sister. Her big thing with Emma was that, oh, God didn't make mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. God made him a perfect little boy. It's people like that that raise kids that are transgender that fall into that 40% bracket. I'm not going to let that happen to my child. I will not let my child feel unaccepted and unloved because of who she is. And we haven't spoke with her since, because I'm not going to have somebody in our lives that does not accept her for who she is unconditionally.